Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they truly hold up. I'm Chase, and I'm holed up with Andrew and Kyle. Kyle, maybe with a special guest.
No, I handed her off.
Oh.
She had stepped me once many times today, so I gave her back. I took her. By the way, we are taking her back to trade her in for a new model pretty soon. But it's not really about her. It's about what I want and what I think is best for my family. And until she can provide, then I have
that different model will be more affordable for you all, correct?
No, we're actually going to go. We're actually upgrading.
Oh,
It'll
wow.
be a new
Okay.
model. Yeah, so it's going to be. We're upgrading to the model that self-cleans and is a little less noisy.
What about the refinancing?
So that will be more expensive, but it'll be a better investment for you in the coming days and months. Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys about that, and our listeners, let you know if you have a newborn, and the newborn is just really kind of like giving you trouble, fussy all the time, just take it back and trade it in. I mean, we kind of had that whole rigmarole, but we decided that's what's going to be best. Newer make and model. Something more affordable that we can see ourselves in about 10, 15 years is what we're doing. So,
well, I'm glad you made that difficult decision for yourselves, and you can stand firm in that. That's impressive. So
we're standing very firm in it. We're standing firm in it.
Yes, that's brave. That's brave.
Speaking of standing firm, we watched James and the Giant Peach. It's his 30th anniversary. Yay, celebration.
That's so firm.
So firm.
Very firm.
I kept waiting to find something. I was like, he's not going to give it to me, so I got to take whatever I can get. You know, the way of being a 34-year-old in this world.
Wait, you're 34?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow.
I thought you were 50.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were 71. I thought I could have sworn you were born in 55.
You weren't born in 55, Chase?
No, not 55.
Andrew, I could have sworn he was born in 55.
I could have sworn as well. I mean, my God. I would have put money down on it if I could have.
Well, you can't, but like if you could have, I would have also.
Yeah.
I thought you were born in 55.
Great.
Damn.
Which is around the time that this book was written that this movie is based off of. Yeah, is that a better
way? Who was it written by?
Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl?
Yeah.
Roald Dahl.
Not a first for him on the show, so welcome back. It's 30 years, man. I can't believe it.
Wait, we did another Roald Dahl movie?
We talked about Roald Dahl being a part of
James Bond. Yes, that's it. James Bond.
Yeah, okay.
He helped inspire and write some of those books. So technically,
I was going to say, we haven't done Matilda, or that'd be a
Mr.
one
Fox,
that we could...
Or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's plenty out there.
Wait, Roald Dahl wrote Fantastic Mr. Fox? Like Wes Anderson adopted that? Holy shit, that is... That's the first I'm finding out about that. What do you know?
He's a very prolific
children,
young adult
writer.
Of
course. Yeah. This is why I talk to you all. You keep me sharp, both of you. So thank you for that. This is why you're part of my life.
We keep you sharp. Were you born in 55? Jesus Christ. You've been hanging out with way too many old people, Andrew.
He's been hanging out with me too much. But anyway...
If I was hanging out with old people, I would have known that about Roald Dahl. So,
yeah, I think you're giving the old people in our lives too much credit. I don't know if they know.
My dad never mentioned Roald Dahl in his entire life. But anyway, let's move on a little bit here and let's get the show back on track. Kyle, before we get started today, I want you to tell me a little bit about your energy levels using fruit.
Oh, energy level today as a fruit? We're going with kiwi with no way to cut it open. So you're going to have to just kind of take it how you get it. You're going to eat some fuzz. You're going to have a very uncomfortable stool. But there is something sweet in the middle. So, yeah, but you're going to have, you have no way to get it open. So you're just going to have to bite into it and eat it like an apple.
That's pretty much a metaphor for being a father.
Chase, how do you eat your kiwi? Do you cut it up or you just bite right into the flesh?
I slam it right on the ground, and then I pick up the pieces and start chewing on those.
Okay, so,
caveman style, just goopy. Almost like scooping a soup.
Goopy with like some fuzz on the outside.
Oh, you got to get
almost
the fuzz.
Like
you got to have the fuzz. The fuzz is where the nutrition is. Andrew, I also got a question for you, speaking of fruit.
Oh, gosh. Oh gosh. Okay.
We got some new listeners to the show. Do you want to guess where they're listening?
I believe Wisconsin, outside Milwaukee, New Berlin to be specific. We got some people in Vietnam, more people in Vietnam, and then Delhi.
That's right.
I believe that's India. Isn't that right? India?
Yeah, New Delhi, yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for listening. As we say every week, please make sure you share this episode, any episode that's your favorite. Share it with people around you. That's how we keep the show free. We also have people in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Welcome to the show. We also have people in Cape Town, South Africa. Beautiful part of the world over there. But yeah, listeners from all over the world, we're excited that you're here with us as we begin to look at James and the Giant Peach. Andrew, we're going to start with you today. What do you remember about James and the Giant Peach when you were a kid?
I remember it scaring me. I remember it making me just a little frightened. I remember the book, of course. I think I read the book before I ever saw the movie. But it was
one of those
going to be
my question. My question was going to be, did you read the book? Because I feel like it was 50-50 if a child read the book or not.
I did read the book. I don't exactly remember if the book really lined up with the movie. I would imagine it does, but the movie is obviously a lot more fresh on my brain. One, because I just watched it, and two, and I read that book well before I even saw the movie. But yeah, it was one of those Roald Dahl classics. There's a number of them that we had in our childhood. It was in the repertoire of literature we read in early grade school, and there was a decent movie that scared me. That's pretty much it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that you read the book, and I'm going to ask you for your comparison later at the end of this episode.
I don't think you should, because I probably won't be able to.
So you don't remember
the book? Much. I don't really remember the book.
Okay.
But you can try. You can ask, and I can try to give you an answer.
Do you remember liking the book when you were a kid?
Yeah, I do. I definitely liked it, and I definitely read it like on my. I think it was one of the first books I read on my own, like from start to finish. But yeah, we can talk later, and I'll do my best.
Okay. Kyle, what about you? Did you read the book?
No. So this is a movie that I remember getting this movie for Christmas when I was like 7. This came out in what, 96?
96, yes. 30 years, yeah. Remember, 30 years. Happy birthday.
Yeah. So, yes, happy birthday, James. So I remember getting this movie for Christmas. I think I might still have it. My mom might have it somewhere. But I remember getting this one for like Christmas or something. And us like getting ready for church the next morning, and I like snuck down in the basement to watch it beforehand, and it put me in a Debbie Downer. Like, it was a good movie and I loved it, but like it was sad. Like in the first 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, his parents got gobbled up by a fucking rhinoceros in the sky. They died. They're done. And then you're living with your 2 shitty aunts who are the literal scum of humanity in like post-Victorian England, and just a really dark movie, but it was like the animation style was so captivating and really well done that it just hooked me, and I watched the whole thing start to finish, no issues. But like, I remember afterwards being like, he doesn't get his mom and dad back. Like, they're okay. And he lives with his new family. Okie dokie.
Like, and those ants. Boy in New
York. Yeah. And that was another thing. I'm like, I think you kind of went out of the frying pan into the fire there, bud. If you're like, we're talking about like 1920 New York. Yeah.
On a newspaper, it said 1949. So this is like right before all the crime sprees.
Yeah, I read post World War II. Yeah. I don't know. But those ants scared the piss out of me when I was a kid. And I loathed them. Such awful. And no wonder Roald Dahl made this. He's so good at making those like antagonists so loathsome and despicable.
Right. The backstory of this film is fun, but I'll share my youthful memories of this movie. It was another one of those movies that just kind of came and went. I was very obsessed with for like a split second, and then it just went to the wayside, and I never watched it again. We talked about this last week where we're talking about the Scholastic Book Fair. I think that was last week's episode. Maybe with Space Jam. So at the Scholastic Book Fair, I remember this movie came out about the time that we had one. And so they were really advertising James and the Giant Peach because I think they remastered the book or something, re-edited or something, or just changed the cover of it to match the movie coming out.
It's a new movie, yes. They used the movie poster essentially as the cover title.
Right. And so at the book fair, they had a big peach with James like rolling it, and it was this like cardboard cutout, and the books would be in that. So I remember vividly going to the book fair and seeing that, and it was right before the movie came out, and it made me interested in seeing the movie because I was like, what's happening there? What's happening? It didn't make me want to read the book, but I can't remember if I ever read the book as a kid because it feels like a book I would have read, but it might have been one of those books that like my parents may have read to me, and I don't remember.
Yeah, it is hard to remember, like, for Andrew and I, it's like, reading books was very easy. For you, unless it had pictures in it, it was probably pretty hard for you to kind of understand what was going on.
Still is.
Important for our viewers to remember that Chase is very much, these are pictures, Chase. These are pictures. You know what I mean, Andrew?
Chase has a simple brain. It computes
very simple.
Very little, but it does compute, but it has to be really spelled out for him.
Drawn out.
I have a lizard brain. Yeah. I can admit it. It's the perks of an Alabama education,
It is a perk for sure.
Yeah.
What you don't know can't scare you. So.
James and the Giant Peach almost was never made into a movie. I don't know if you guys know that. Quick backstory of this. Roald Dahl didn't really like the way that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory came off. And so he kind of swore off selling his books for movie rights. And that was a big thing. And a lot of people had approached him throughout the years to try to do James and the Giant Peach, and he said no. He passed away, I think, in 1990. Andrew, you can double-check me on that. But
it was something like that, yeah.
After he passed, his widow ended up watching a movie by Tim Burton called The Nightmare Before Christmas and loved that work so much and thought it matched James and the Giant Peach that she wanted Tim Burton to do this movie. Obviously, Tim Burton didn't do this movie, but his aesthetics are all over it. He produced it and had a hand in like the creative design, but Roald Dahl pretty much died, and his widow then sold the rights. It took him dying for some of these movies to get made. Like, Andrew, you didn't even know Fantastic Mr. Fox was Roald Dahl, but it is.
I didn't.
So we started seeing more of these movies come out, and James and the Giant Peach happened to be the first one since Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So this was a big deal at the time, especially for like British literature. A lot of people were interested to see how Tim Burton was going to handle the subject matter because we all know that Roald Dahl's works, like Kyle has mentioned, they're a little darker side of the folklore to children. It doesn't hide anything. It tells you good, bad, the stuff that we have to overcome as adults. It just kind of puts it in a fairy tale version for a child. Some really good stuff out there, but we won't dive into his books because that's not the show for this. And unfortunately, there was no video game made, but I do think THQ tried to make one around the time.
I think it's better they didn't.
What are you talking about? They made a video game of everything else. You might as well do James and the Giant Peach. You could have some good stuff in that, like battling the shark. You could have done better.
And there's some things that I would rather just leave to the literary world. You already had a movie iteration. Leave the book as it is. You don't need to. I don't know. There aren't many classic
movies,
novels,
book to video games.
Book to video games. So I'm fine with the iteration of just the movie here.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
It would have been another.
You've been outvoted.
It would have been another shitty PlayStation 1 game where you couldn't figure out where to jump. That's what it would have been.
You wouldn't be able to get past level 2.
Yeah.
And you would have been stuck there and you would have given up.
Right, exactly. But anyway, without a video game tie-in, Andrew, was this movie successful?
Well, y'all want to guess what the budget was?
I'm going to guess a cool 25 mil.
Chase?
I'm going to say it's higher than that. I'm going to say it's around 63.
It's a little bit closer at 25. It's 38 million. So
okay. Chase, eat shit. I won.
And do you all think that this movie went into the green? Do you think it made money?
Especially in international markets, I actually think it did.
Yeah, it didn't. It only grossed altogether about 28 million.
Damn.
Chase, eat shit. I won.
I don't even think this was released internationally, which seems dumb. Considering
it's a British
it's
literary
British
work. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. It was 28 million and some change, and
so are you saying that's just U.S. market, just 28 mil?
Yeah, 28.9. That is the only thing that they have on Box Office Mojo, and if you do a Google search, it confirms James the Giant Peach only made 28.9 altogether.
Interesting. So they did not test the international markets, which is weird.
No.
And this is a Disney movie.
No.
You would think Disney would push, I'm sure it made its money back in the VHS market.
I mean, we talk about Roald Dahl books. I feel like this book in particular probably wasn't one of his most popular. Maybe I'm completely wrong there. But when I think about Roald Dahl creations, I don't know. I feel like this one was made popular because of the movie, at least from my experience. I remember at Scholastic Book Fair, but it's not in the Rolodex of Roald Dahl books. Does that make sense? I don't think it's his most popular work.
Well, I would agree. I will say too, though, looking into it, it is a big international hit. We're talking about something that was written in Britain and was popular there and probably filtrated down to the U.S., but I don't. Yeah. I think it's more or less one of those things. It's probably more popular over there for those kids than it was us. But I do remember it being decently popular. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just coinciding my memory with the release of the movie, and it made the book more popular.
I could be completely off base. I'm kind of surprised they didn't release it internationally, and I'm surprised it flopped as badly as it did. I was shocked when I saw those numbers. I thought for sure, I didn't think it'd be majorly in the green, but I thought it'd be just a smidge over what they put into it.
I'm sure it made its money back because I didn't know how low that budget was. I was like, for sure it did. But there was a sequel, and it got canceled, so it makes sense now.
Good.
Yeah, I'm happy that occurred.
Yep.
So.
Well, damn. Well, let's find out if it's worth the time and effort. Kyle, do you want to start us off? Where does this movie take place, and how does it begin?
It begins with a really interesting shot. I believe all this is shot in the same soundstage in fucking England.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is a soundstage heavy movie with the live action. And I do want to make mention too before we get going is we've been in our animation run recently, and we thought we'd look at stop motion, which is a pretty impressive form of animation that is just kind of almost a lost art, which Kyle, I'll let you take that too from there, but continue with what you were saying.
I mean, there's not a lot of modern stop motion. Coraline, I think, would be the last stop motion that I'm aware of that was a very big movie. Wallace and Gromit was more claymation stop motion, but stop motion is hard to do. It takes a lot of manpower, and also when those set pieces are done, they either get stored or destroyed, and it costs money to store them. So usually they get destroyed, and there's money attached to that versus having a computer do it. Nothing needs to happen. It can be stored almost for free anywhere. So it's important to remember that when we're going through a shift now, and this is kind of the pinnacle and fall of these kind of movies, to the point where we are just kind of getting the prime examples of this art form now, and they very soon taper off with Lord of the Rings, and that's pretty much the death of these movies. They petered out shortly after that. So this movie, while very heavy on the soundstage for the live action piece, it more than makes up for it with the absolutely amazing artwork and stop motion that they do throughout this entire movie. But we do open up to a very interesting kind of soundstage, very close-up shot of a boy with his family, and the narrator begins. And this narrator we have heard, and he's been in a couple other movies before, Andrew. What was the most recent movie that we did that he was in it?
The narrator?
Yes.
Wasn't Land Before Time, was it?
No. You're on the right track, though. Dinosaurs.
Shit. Chase, help me out.
The guy from The Lost World? And it's the
we
same
are
guy?
talking about him.
Yeah, what's his name? I can't ever remember his name.
In the middle of a T-Rex nest for all I care. But I've been on too many safari trips with rich dentists. It's that guy. Nolan. I don't remember his name. Let me check real quick. Pete Postlethwaite.
Oh, Pete Postlethwaite. Yeah, Pete Postlethwaite. He's a great actor. He's in The Town.
He's wonderful in The Town.
He's been in tons of stuff. He's no longer with us, R.I.P. No. But he's a R.I.P. very versatile actor. Very good character actor. Like okay. I should have put two and two together there. Damn, disappointed in myself.
Well, it's not the last time you see him either, too.
No.
But he is narrating, and he's also plays another character. I'm assuming same character that's narrating, but he's narrating our little adventure here.
We start off immediately with just like, it opens up like, this is James. James is the saddest boy in the world, but it didn't start off that way. And it shows him with his parents, and they're like looking at the clouds and like, what do you see there? I see a skyscraper. I don't see it, Father. And he rotates. He's like, do you see it now? It's a fucking skyscraper, you idiot. Use your fucking brain.
Turn your head to the right, you moron.
Just look a little bit different at it.
You must have been watching the R-rated version. I didn't get that one.
We were.
Director's cut.
But then, like, rather immediately, we find out that one day his parents were gobbled up by a giant rhinoceros in the sky. And
I want to speak to that. It seems ridiculous, and it is, but in the book, what happens is a rhinoceros escapes from the zoo, and his parents got destroyed and killed while they were out shopping. That's essentially what it is. So they mixed it, changed it just a bit.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I figured that there was something else going on there. Yeah. And if you think about it in a really like fucked up way, wouldn't that be kind of how a child makes sense of something like that?
For sure.
Using their imagination. Yeah. Like, so.
It's obvious it's like it's a metaphor for something, and I was trying to put two and two together on what the metaphor was. I just assumed it was car accident or something that.
It was some calamitous event, we could say.
And who knows what like real life events Roald Dahl had in mind when he used the rhinoceros killing in his book. But yeah, very much a metaphor, very much.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's parentless. He's an orphan. So what happens to orphan James, Andrew?
Well, he wakes up in this shack, essentially. It's a tiny little bed, very gray, very run down, and he's greeted by his two aunts who are hideous. Just disgusting. One's tall and lanky, the other one's short and plump.
They're almost like two witches. Like they act and creep around like two just old, bitter witches.
They have awful teeth. Their makeup's disgusting.
That's just because they're British, Andrew.
Hey, we have an international audience now, so like let's be respectful of others who aren't us. Okay, not everyone gets great dental care.
Neither do we. We're we're in the U.S. We don't even have health care.
Well, speak for yourself. Well, anyways, the short one is named Aunt Sponge. The tall, skinny one is named Aunt Spiker, and they're evil, and they abuse him. Physically and mentally, they starve him. They make him do all sorts of these chores that, say, an 8-year-old, maybe even 6-year-old, I don't know, he's young, should never even think about doing.
Yeah, like building like barns and shit.
Painting the fence with probably a lead-based paint, like just awful shit.
It is 1949. There was asbestos and lead-based paint and everything.
Absolutely. He was definitely exposed to that. But guess what? Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker don't give a shit because he's a grub. He's varmint. He is filth to them. And it was infuriating to watch these two hideous beasts just treat this poor kid like a piece of shit. I wanted to physically harm them.
I know. Oh my God, Andrew, calm down. All right, just go, sit down, take a breath. Take a breath.
No, you felt the same way. They're awful. Yes. Those two characters are wretched.
Yeah,
reprehensible.
They're over microwaved is a term that they would use for some characters, meaning they're over the top with how they treat him too, to make them just
100%,
to make you just hate these people and have no remorse for them at all. Like it's
none.
Obviously, like people like this, even if they're evil or not, would still have to like concede a little bit of kindness to be able to manipulate the kid appropriately. But all they do is just beat him down and say, "You don't have anything else out there. You're stuck with us. You might as well put a smile on your face and do your chores, or you won't eat." And he's like,
"We left you something really special
in the oven."
And he goes and opens it, and it's 2 rotting fish heads.
Ugh.
Terrible.
With their eyes still intact.
And he kind of like grimaces at it, and they're like, "What are you? Is that not good enough for you?" And then so they just basically send him out to the yard. I do want to make note too, like the sound staging in this movie is very whimsical, and it really brings a child's book to life. They did an incredible job because they have the shallow backdrop, and it's very colorful and vivid, so you see different sceneries, and it's very static. But then they do certain diagrams and stuff like that in the foreground that kind of just make it feel like a pop-up book, and it's amazing. It's hard to explain, and there's people out there that could explain it that are more professional than I am, but it is visually appealing. This movie is very fun to watch for that reason.
Very much so.
And it's a lost art. We don't see that anymore, and we've got different points in this movie where you can see it's all practical effects, and it's using models. Like, I mean, Kyle.
But why would we use practical effects if we have artificial intelligence to do it for us now?
You know what, Andrew? You're right.
Too much work. Too much work.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just skip everything. Does this hold up? All right. Now,
I was gonna say, let's just put the mics down. Let's call it an evening.
No, I mean, we don't even need to do this podcast. AI could decide if something holds up. Can it?
We'll just tell Claude to write an entire season full of episodes and take our voice, and we'll put it out there.
Claude's a raging alcoholic. We can't ask him to do anything.
You're right.
But one day, Kyle, he meets this gentleman. Who does he meet?
He meets some kind of weird, whimsical general from the sky, essentially. And he just kind of posts
from
up.
The Lost World.
Where the fuck did he come from? Yeah, from the Lost World. He comes directly from the Lost World after he got eaten by a T-Rex. And he just... This was one of the coolest parts of the movie, rather, and I feel like it was even cooler in the book. Was there anything you remember from this, Andrew? Because this was like really, really whimsical, and at first I was kind of like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then I was like, "For a child, this makes perfect sense." It's like Alec. She shows them like he's like, "I'm having like a really shitty time. Like life sucks," and he's like, "Well, it sucks here, but like you never know where things could go," and he presents him with a bag full of what, Andrew?
It's this Chinese lantern that he had set free the night before.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Take it back and take that one, Andrew.
Well, he presents him, since James, with what appears to be a bag, but it's his Chinese lantern that he had set free into the night sky the night before. And in this lantern, this paper lantern, there are these like worm-like bugs. I think he says they're crocodile tongues or something. And then he gives like a whole list of what they are. It's crocodile tongues and this and that, all whimsical, fictional,
but also
creations.
Haitian voodoo style kind of. Yeah. It kind of got a little weird there. I was like, whoa, what are we doing? And I want to make mention too, he's outside too because he's trying to like free a spider that he's befriended. He's been watching over this spider, and his ants want to kill it. It's something that's very minor at the beginning, but it comes into play later.
Yes. But he gives him this bag of these magical glowing worm-looking things, and he was like, "These hold the magic. Be careful how you use them." And he tells him to be off on his way, and the magic will help him find happiness. And he's very intrigued as he looks in. He sees all these glowing little. They look like larvae almost, but they're moving and twirling. He's like, "Oh goodness, what do we have here?" And he's making his way back up to the shack, and he trips in front of this tree, and all of these little glowworm things they're let loose. They're scattered all over the ground. this point, and he can't grab them because they're all bouncing all over the place. So he essentially loses those worms, those magical worms. And then what happens? What happens with those worms, Kyle?
They all disappear into the fucking ground, and they start going into different things, and he can't find any of them, and he's rather dejected because they disappeared, it would seem.
Yep.
And I found the quote that the guy that he says, the old man. James says, "What are they?" And he goes, "Crocodile tongues." And he goes, "Tongues? Long, slimy crocodile tongues boiled in the skull of a dead witch for 20 days and 20 nights. And the gizzard of a pig, and the fingers of a young monkey, and the beak of a parrot, and 3 spoonfuls of sugar. And then let the moon do the rest." And then he opens his eye, and his eye is like white. And he goes, "Oh." It was such a good line, and it was delivered masterfully. It brought me right back into it. But feel free to do what you want with that quote, Chase. But essentially, at that point, he goes back inside dejected, but one of those little worms goes where, Chase?
It finds its way to a branch and ends up getting into a peach.
So the next day, the ants are out, and he's like, what is he doing outside? He's doing some kind of...
They're kind of bringing him back in. I think they jump outside to bring him back in, and they're like, you weren't getting that spider. You weren't killing the spider at all. You're out here just mucking around. And he ends up getting taken by one of the ants, like physically by the ear, and she's like dragging him, and the other ant looks up and sees the peach growing. And this has been dead land, basically. Everything is dead. Trees are dead. The ant's like, "Look, a peach." And she's like, "Nothing's ever grown on that tree, ever." And looks up, and this peach is there, and it's starting to grow in front of their eyes, and it's getting massive. And they try to get James up there to get the peach, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And the ants get the idea to sell tickets to it, like it's an oddity. So they start selling tickets and making some money, and they're very vicious to even their own customers.
Yep. Yeah, they're really mean to their own customers, and they're just very...
They're fucking bitches. They're bitches. They're evil. Like,
they're evil. They're just they're trying to do whatever they can. They're totally self-serving. They don't even like each other, really.
Well, like one kid goes like, "Can I touch it?" They're like, "Can you touch it?" And then she like rips up her ticket and is like, "This child's admission's been revoked. See her out." And like just shuns her away, and the parent starts taking like no argument at all, just takes the children and leave. Like my mom would have been right up in her face. And like you can't just do that to every parent. But in the meantime, what happens next, Andrew? Now that they're selling tickets to the peach, they're making James clean up all the trash outside, right?
Yeah, he's up in his room. He's looking down, and he's seeing all these kids. He's like, "Oh, those are people my age that I can hang out with and talk to and whatnot." And they keep him up there during the day. But when they close things down, they have him clean up the trash. And I think he came down in like a nice outfit towards the end of the evening, and his 2 bitch ants are counting all their money and like, "Oh, you look spiffy."
You know,
and he's like,
you know what? One funny thing that I want to make mention to, while they're selling tickets and dealing with the crowds in the peach, did you notice that the taller ant's makeup, it was completely white and disgusting and made her look even more ghostly?
I mean, I thought that the entire time. Like,
but it was like
that.
It was like more extravagant. It was like a funny little joke because she was trying to put makeup on to make herself seem prettier, and it just went the opposite way because she didn't know how to actually put makeup on.
It was very Tim Burton-esque. Yes. It just was. But anyways, back to James. He comes down the stairs, and like I said, he's wearing a tie and a little suit, and they're like, "Oh, you look spiffy." He's like, "Where'd all the kids go?" And they're like, "Well, we're closed. Go out and clean, you swine." And I think at this point, he just like wanders out to the grounds, and I don't think he does anything worth noting until he gets to the peach. And he simply decides to just take a big old bite out of said peach, which is not okay in Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker's eyes.
It's not that he just took a big bite. He reached and grabbed the peach.
He reached in. He grabbed a huge morsel.
But the morsel turned into a peach itself, so it almost became a peach when he pulled it off. It was weird.
It's a magical peach. But right before he took a bite, one of those crocodile tongue / little glowing larva pieces somehow flew out from the ground and went right into the little morsel that he was biting into. So he took a bite of that magic.
Do you think this is a metaphor for drugs and that old man sold him ketamine? So James just took ketamine?
No, I think what this is what RFK really thinks happened to him with that brain.
So
I think that's actually what's going on. And a magic space worm entered my lungs. And that's why I talk like this. I can't stop talking like this.
That one's for our international market.
Oh, God. They'll love that.
Anyway, moving on. So he ends up swallowing one of these magic worms. And then what happens next, Kyle, after he swallows one of them?
He climbs into the peach because his ants are looking for him, and he begins a slow descent into
more of an ascent, if you will.
Good point. Yeah, ascent into the peach and into the land of stop motion. He is now a stop motion character.
We had a wonderful transformation during this process. It's very, very 90s, I felt. He's crawling up, and then you start to see like sparkles and
it's very
some
Disney,
sort of
very Disney
circular motion if someone was waving a wand. And then as he's climbing up this faux ladder into the peach, his human body becomes more animated. Then you see someone flick their wrist, that wand imagery sets off the screen, and he's now stop motion, animation, claymation, whatever you want to call it. He has transformed into that realm. It wasn't the best at that moment. Like I said, it felt a little dated, a little 90s, but you accept it and you move on. Because at this point, he's into the peach. He comes crashing down into this cavern, if you will. You're in the that's a hollow cavern. And we're immediately introduced to our other characters, our insect friends that we, I guess know so well from all of the animations and posters and the original book cover title. There's the spider. Sorry, go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
I was going to say, who are they? Because it's a spider.
We got a spider. We got a centipede, a glowworm, an earthworm, and a grasshopper. Yes. And we've got a lot of really good actors who voice these parts as well. Susan Sarandon. Richard Dreyfuss is the centipede. The actor who plays Remus Lupin in Harry Potter, I forgot his name. I'm going to say it here in a second. He is the earthworm. I don't know the names of the others, but they've been in tons of stuff. I believe they're both British actors, hence their amazing dialects. I'm gonna find them right now. Simon Callow was the grasshopper. And Jane Leaves was the ladybug. So, just a good all-around cast right there.
It truly shows with just how they deliver their lines and how believable all of these characters are versus something like Titan A, where it's just kind of like, just fucking jerk yourself off.
Yeah, I'm Matt Damon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not very phoned in. I can tell they were acting this out with their bodies.
100%. I could just envision like a documentary crew like filming them in the studio, and that they were very physical and very animated through all of that. It wasn't just say line here, say line there, boom, 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 let's go. There was definitely some work that was put into it. So.
Right. And he meets all these characters, the spider probably being the pivotal point for him because he's scared at first when he sees all these insects because why wouldn't you be? These insects are bigger than he is. They're kind of scary at first because they do a really good job of the first time he's meeting them. He's just hearing them talk and kind of bouncing around the room. And all you see is their shadows and their outlines and their white eyes. And they do this trick to make it seem like, oh, these are these horrific figures. And then all of a sudden I think it's the ladybug who is kind of like the mother figure of the group, ends up saying something kind to him, and then it's like the light flicks on and he can see the bugs for who they truly are, and they're just kind of these wacky little characters. And he meets the spider and starts to realize that that's the spider that he was trying to save from his ants. So that spider is talking highly about James to all the other insects and say, hey, this one cares about us. He tried to save me, or he did save my life. But as they're starting to chat up, they hear the ants, right? They hear them outside, like mumbling and all this other stuff, and they're coming after James. They're like, are you eating our peach? Where are you at? And what happens next, Andrew, after that?
I believe it is the centipede who has the brilliant idea to go up to the top of the peach and chew on the stem that's connected to the branch of the tree and essentially sever that stem. So the peach rolls away, rolls down the hill through the little British village that's down below the ant's shack, and then takes a big tumble off a cliff, and then they land in the ocean. They're in the middle of the ocean.
And that's where things start to get really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a pretty quick, I mean, we're like maybe 15, 20 minutes in the movie, too. So all this is like happening pretty quickly. And then the peach is in the ocean, and James kind of like, they saw like a little hatch where the stem is, and they open it up almost like a submarine and see that they're just kind of in the middle of the ocean. The whole crux of this is before James's parents died, they were showing him a pamphlet that they had, a travel pamphlet of New York City. And his dad was like, we're going to go there one day. It's going to be bright lights. There's going to be kids to play with. There's going to be, he makes it like New York is the be all to end all cities, which is kind of.
Well, it is the city of dreams.
That's
true.
The
city of dreams.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pivotal point into like immigration. New York is probably the epitome of the United States and the American dream. So it makes sense, especially for this time period. So he's like, we're going to make it to New York. So his aunts end up ripping up the pamphlet, kind of like ripping up your dreams, metaphor for days there. So he forgets about it for a little bit. And then when he goes into the stop motion world, the bugs and the insects around him are singing this song that they've heard James sing before about, what was it called? Like the city for me or the place for me, something along those lines.
Something akin to that, yes.
And each of them have a segment, and each of their segments is basically New York. The spider needs alleyways to hide in, and the ladybug wants greenery.
They correlate all of it to like what topography, what biomes all of these different insects inhabit. So the spider gets the dark places, the ladybug gets the green park, the earthworm gets the subway. It was a good job. It was fun. It was a good job.
Yeah, and James still can't remember. Now they're in the ocean. He's like, where should we go? We're stranded. What are we going to do? And James is like, well, there's somewhere we need to go, but the guy told me to feel it in my heart, and he like touches his chest, and then the ripped up pamphlet, it's like a piece of it, right, Kyle, or something?
Yes, it's like a piece of the pamphlet that he had that had enough information.
Yeah, it said New York. At least that section of it was fine. So he's like, oh yeah, New York. So they get the idea to try to get this giant floating peach to New York. And what's their first step, Andrew, to try to get that peach to New York? And I want to make mention, too, because this is going to come back. But when the peach rolled away, it crushed the ants in their getaway car, which I thought was really fucking funny.
I thought it killed them at first, and I was so happy.
I was happy, but no, it didn't kill them. It crushed their car, and miraculously, the peach didn't take on any damage. A soft fruit like that fell and rolled. No damage whatsoever.
A solid peach right there. That's a great peach. That's a Georgia peach, if you'd ever seen it.
That's a thick, juicy boy.
But, Andrew, how do they try to get the peach to New York? Because obviously this peach is just floating. Other than that, it has no purpose. It's just floating in the water. And they don't even know where New York is.
And James sees some seagulls flying above him, and he's like, oh, we should attach to the gulls and they can fly us. And they're like, that's a stupid idea. Well, I think the centipede, who is very American, by the way, he's not British. Like, that's stupid. We're not going to do that.
He's very New York. Very New
York. He's from in New York?
Queens?
I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, same difference.
Brooklyn. Yeah, same difference. Flushing, Queens, same thing.
Brooklyn does bleed into Queens. Once you get to a certain spot, you're essentially in the same borough. But anyways, they're like, well, we got nothing better to do, so let's make it work. They're like, well, wait, we don't have any rope. oh shit, so what do we do? And then the spider's like, oh, well, I've got miles and miles of it. So they create a little like bird trap with the earthworm. They attach a bell to his neck and they shake him in the little peach hole at the top. The bird sees it, comes down. They pull the worm into the hole and the spider shoots her web and they attach the web around the gull's neck and it flies up and pretty much like suffocates. Like it can't pull that peach up and the insects and James because it's one tiny little bird. So they eventually create some sort of net to capture like the entire flock of gulls and use the web to attach to all of their necks. And as a joint collective, the flock of gulls can pick up the seagulls. But what almost ruins this beautiful plan, Kyle? What comes up out of the deep blue?
So,
are we boring you?
Yes. So, in the distance, there's somebody in the peach. I forget who it is. Says, "I hear teeth, gnashing teeth." And they look out into the sea, and there is just this whirlpool, and it's sucking tuna down. And it pops up, and it's like this giant industrial mechanical shark with rotating teeth in its mouth and a reticulated like fin in the back, and it is gnarly looking, and it looks like the death of the natural world in one character. And it just starts, it sees the peach and it's like it's got its eyes set on us, and it shoots a harpoon into the peach to try to reel it in. And then when they start trying to get what they start trying to do at this point, try to get all the seagulls to help carry them away, and they start capturing a fair few of them with the net from, or the web from the spider. But it starts shooting out these little, almost like the bullets in Mario, like just like chomping little metal shark missiles. And it cuts through some of this twine that connected some of these seagulls. So they have to do this whole rigmarole to try to keep them. So James jumps on the grasshopper. Grasshopper jumps and grabs the seagulls, comes back down, and then at this point, the how do we get the harpoon out?
The spider has taken a sledgehammer on the inside of the peach and is just wailing away at this harpoon one swing at a time. Every swing loosens up the harpoon's hold on the inside of that peach, pushing it out towards the ocean.
Right. Centipede's like almost dies in this whole process too because it gets caught on the harpoon, the rope
he's in
of
the
the
line
harpoon.
Of the harpoon. Yeah, and he's right near the gnawing metal teeth, but somehow makes his way back up. He escapes death right as the spider knocks the harpoon out from the inside of the peach. And at that point, the harpoon flies back into the mechanical shark's mouth. It twists up a bunch of gears and makes the shark implode and come to a screeching halt. And it blows up in flames, and they are free from the clutches of said shark.
And let me just say, this explosion looks visually stunning.
Yeah,
probably some of the best stop motion I've seen in a while, which
pretty phenomenal.
You forget how beautiful stop motion is when it's done correctly, which is very hard to do. But there's something about it. It's so visually appealing. They get away from the shark, Andrew, and now the peach is moving with the seagulls. They're flying through the sky. We get some dissent in the group, don't we? The centipede is not getting along with the grasshopper or the spider. He's kind of
because it's coming. It's regarding what though? This one topic, because this is some really clever, like, not, I don't want to say clever, that's not the right word. It was really well done stop motion and visual effects, because the centipede is starting to hallucinate because he's so hungry. And he looks at the grasshopper, and the grasshopper turns into like Swiss cheese and like a bottle of like champagne. And he looks over at the worm, and the worm looks like a hot dog with mustard on it. And then he looks up in the sky, and the seagull just looks like a fucking fat ass bird, like a nice big old chicken. So, and all that food looked so good. I've never wanted a hot dog more in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want a fucking hot dog.
I was hungry.
Damn it. And
I want some
as
of
a
that
kid,
champagne and cheese. That
I
sounds
know,
great.
but as a kid, I wanted that, and I didn't even know how. Like, I didn't know what champagne was. That wasn't back when like people were drinking champagne all the time. Like, I had no idea.
I thought all kids drink champagne in Cincinnati.
Well, they do, but like, I wasn't a normal kid. I was what they call aggressively regressed. So
Kyle, I thought you liked Hudipole. I thought Hudipole was like the only thing you drink for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I need Hootie every once in a while. Now, not stipulated it's done every day, but I need a good round of Hootie in my life to get going.
Okay.
Usually.
Okay.
Yeah, clean.
So
it's a great beer, by the way. Great beer.
Mm-hmm.
But the centipede pulls one of the birds down. He starts trying to eat the bird. And that's when everyone starts kind of arguing and fighting. And he's like, I'm hungry. And they're like, I'm hungry too. And then James is like, well, guess what? We got plenty of food. You can just eat the peach that we've been riding the whole time. Solves the problem instantly. Goes down, grabs a handful of peach stuff, and they start eating. And then they have like another song and dance. There's quite a few.
Like three or four in this movie.
Yeah, and I didn't care for any of them. I will go ahead and make a statement there. They were very forgettable. And when they started singing, I was like, oh, shit, can we get back to the movie? Because I'm intrigued by the movie itself, but the music just never hit. It's probably one of the
I agree completely.
It was mid AF, as the youngins would say.
There was not a lot of like tie-in. It was just kind of like meandering. Seemed like a way to fill space.
Yeah, we need to do a song and dance number for the sake of doing a song and dance number. Here it is. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much all it was.
Main song that they sing a couple of times too, that the Bugs sing and then James sings, is actually written by Roald Dahl. As a fun fact.
Wow.
So
did not know that. Thank you. Thank you for that information.
I don't know. I don't know when he wrote it, what he wrote it for. If it's I don't think it's in the book. Obviously, but I don't know how it got written by him because he'd been dead for 6 years when this movie came out. But anyway, and then we get this moment after the song and dance. Everyone's eating and going to bed. The spider makes a bed for James, and James is still kind of anxious. He doesn't know where he's going. He's just glad to be away from his aunts, but he's like, what if I never make friends? What if I'm not making the right decision? And then the spider just kind of calmly reminds him, it's like, we're your friends now. We're your family. It's a touching way of saying, like, family's not always who you grow up with. It's the family that you meet. And so it's a nice moment with the spider.
I want to say something. I was a little put off by how she like tied him down into her web and then put a blanket over him. I was like, I was just like, are you gonna kill him in his sleep? Like, what's going on here?
He's gonna wake up and he's gonna be like half dead because his organs have been sucked out, like liquefied.
But she didn't do that. That was just a way of really.
No, it's a deleted scene out there.
You're right. Director's cut.
Sucked out James Marrow, and the movie ends 40 minutes before it should. Anyway, what happens next, Andrew? You take it.
So they're flying. They're making their way across the big ponds, the Atlantic. And they eventually come across. They find themselves like in the Arctic Circle. Essentially, they don't know if it's north, they don't know if it's south, but they're in like freezing cold temperatures. Just all of a sudden, they see glaciers and icicle spears, and the peach is frozen on the top. They've stumbled across the wrong place. They've gotten off course. Maybe thanks to the centipede. Is that correct, Kyle?
Centipede fell asleep.
He did.
Yeah, that's right.
Now this is one of the best parts of the movie. Now they've made it all the way up to the icy, cold.
Like I said, they don't know if it's north or south, but they're in a very, very frigid area. It's not New York City.
The seagulls freezing too is the funniest part to me because I was like, how is this peach still floating?
Yeah.
How are their wings still flapping?
Yeah,
it's whimsy. It's like Looney Tunes until they reference it, then they're like. Till they point out that the wings are gone, then they're like, "Oh shit, I'm falling now." It's very whimsical. Now they're in the middle Arctic Circle. I'm choosing Arctic because
makes sense.
They find a shipwreck. There are shipwrecks in the south, but there's not that many of that era. They're mostly newer, and the waters in the near the Arctic or the Antarctic are notoriously bad and dangerous and tumultuous and historically not a calm sea, the South Sea. So they're definitely in the Arctic. It almost reminded me of the Titanic. There was just a lot of ice everywhere, like an ice kingdom. The stop motion artwork is really well done. The set design, speaking from that point of view, it just takes you into this kind of cold, desolate, but very sharp and layered and leveled set piece of like just the icy depths and the ice on the water. And the next scene is probably my favorite scene in the movie in terms of how everything's done, the stop motion is done. It's just visually very fun to watch.
Yeah,
so
and and before the too, like I don't know if you're gonna get into it, but too, we have to make mention of the huge argument this group is having too, right before that they reach.
Very important because it sets up the next big plot point.
So before they reach the ship, everyone starts attacking the centipede. Is like, I thought you said that you knew how to get us to New York. You said you sailed all over the world, and it turns out he hasn't. He's been lying to them the whole time.
Oh.
And that's kind of important because you shouldn't lie about things like that because that's why we're in the Arctic Circle now.
Especially when you're flying a peach over treacherous waters and uncharted territory.
Which, like, to be fair, that peach would have been eaten 10 minutes into the trip through the ocean.
100%.
But anyway, they're all starting to argue with him and cornering him, chastising him, being like, you've never been anywhere. How the hell are we going to get out now?
Grasshopper is especially pointed with this because he's like, what's your longitude? What's your latitude? We need coordinates. And he's like, you can't provide any of that. Blah, blah, blah. And he says something to the effect of like, the only way that we can get those coordinates is by way of a compass, which you don't really get coordinates through a compass. It just gives you a sense of direction.
Yeah,
so
direction.
Whatever.
They're kind of north anyway, so it's like whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
But James showed his map earlier, and it showed their direction that they were heading to. So I'm assuming, weirdly enough, that they had like a GPS system in that map, and they never check it again. You know, you would think you would give the centipede the map so he can see where we're going, and you don't really need a compass at that. Anyway, it's something they introduce and never come back to. So it's just like, why introduce that at all? But anyway, they're arguing with the centipede, and what happens, Kyle, after they argue?
So the centipede falls into the water, and he falls to the icy depths, and they go in after him. And this is one of the cooler parts of the movie because they're underwater the whole time based off of I don't know like what kind of effect they're using, but it's almost a shimmer the whole time on all surfaces. Like you're looking through the water when you're underneath it. I would say the most visually impressive scene of the movie. I'm not like a chilled, but as an adult, I appreciated it. It was just really cool. And this whole scene, the centipede is being like, he's about to be hung, drawn, and quartered almost. And they have him out in the stretcher. And by it's a ship, and there are skeleton pirates on it who have taken him hostage. And he's about to get chopped in half. He's like, it was a really funny scene because they have him on the stretch and they're cranking it and he's getting longer. He's like, ow, 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 it hurts. And then one crack happens and he goes, actually, that one felt pretty good. And I remember as a kid, I thought that was pretty funny. Like, okay, cool. And at this point, they're about to chop him in half. But who comes in to save the day, Andrew?
James. He's launched by the spider, I believe, and he hits the big bad pirate with the axe and knocks him over, and Centipede is free and all hell breaks loose. They have a big old brawl essentially underwater in the icy depths.
We have to also make mention too, when he hits the main pirate, his head comes off and it is Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
So and which I did not know this, that Jack Skellington was voiced by Chris Sarandon, which is Susan Sarandon's ex-husband.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so fun fact for everyone back home. But Jack Skellington, he makes like a couple other appearances too. Disney and Tim Burton were going to get some mileage out of that one.
He also, this is not the same movie, but Jack Skellington makes an appearance in Coraline as well, considering it's done by the same animation studio.
Right.
So they try to throw him in there whenever they get an option to.
Yeah, Disney and Burton. But anyway, after the big fluff up, the centipede goes back to grab the compass, right, Andrew?
Correct. Yes.
And then
yes.
And then what happens after that? Because my memory's
fuzzy. It was just a whole. It was all just like I said. It was the big brawl. The compass got kicked one way. It went overboard. Someone grabbed it. It got tossed back. Like, it was just kind of getting tossed through and through. People were getting hit. People were getting knocked down. I think, long story short, the spider and James escape, but the centipede gets trapped underneath, and he's getting rampaged by these skeleton pirates. Seems so he's not going to make it, but Spider jumps back in, saves him, comes back up, and they're back together on the beach, together as a crew with a compass, and now they know where they got to go. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the end of that little scene, and they're on their way. Because, like I said, they have their
now
compass.
They all feel good about the centipede again because he saved their lives. So, like,
he saved his life and sacrificed himself, essentially. So he redeemed himself.
Well, to undo the problems he caused.
Yeah.
And Andrew, so now that they're back on their way, what happens after that?
So they adjust their course, and then within a few minutes, they're in a very cloudy section, and at this point, some of the clouds open up and they look down, and it's the south end of Manhattan. You see all these lights. You're like, oh, we're here. Oh, we've made it. This is it. This is everything. And before they can make their way down, a big old storm cloud approaches, and they all get scared. And what's in this storm cloud, Kyle? What makes its first real appearance?
Well, the first time it actually comes out as a character, not a memory, is the big rhinoceros in the sky.
Yep.
And it's made out of clouds, and it's pretty intimidating. Scary? No. Intimidating? 1,000%.
For sure.
Very
I will
much.
say, as a kid, this probably scared me.
Yes.
This would be something that would scare me as a child.
Yeah. It's just like unrelenting death, essentially. It's coming for you. But he says, you took my parents. You can take me, but you're not going to take my friends. And so he goes out to face it, and he says, I'm not scared of you. You're just out of wind and smoke. And it just throws a lightning bolt right at him and just undoes the stairs he's standing on.
Which is a crazy thing to happen. Like, you facing your fears, and your fears just bitch slapping you in the face.
Yeah, right in the face. It was such a good, good for you. And it made it pause for a second, but then it said, fuck you. And you know,
it's a good message for kids, because you're gonna face your fears and take a hit or two. Facing your fears just doesn't lead to you just accomplishing everything. You're gonna have to take some licks.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be okay with that kind of stuff. But he overcomes it. The peach at this point, the seagulls separate along with the friends, and James and the friends get separated. And he falls into the peach, and the peach lands where, fellas?
On the needle of the Empire State Building, which at the time was the tallest building in the world. Pretty cool.
Which they make mention
of. How tall is it?
Yes.
100 stories?
I don't fucking know. Something like that.
Stories?
Well, Andrew, you're our stats guy. Look it up. We'll wait.
Okay. Do you want to wait?
Yeah, we'll wait. Come on.
All right.
You should be pretty quick at this these days. We ask you to look up a lot of shit.
Yeah, the autism only kicks in when I want it to. So it's 1,250 feet, 381 meters for our international friends, because here in America.
So 120 stories.
Yeah, 102 actually.
Yeah, we don't do meters here ever.
No.
Except for when we're talking about track and field.
Correct.
It's really funny that we use millimeters in the guns and we love that shit. But aside from that, we don't use anything.
We're
any heart and soul
damn inconsistent. So damn inconsistent. I don't know why we had to create our own stupid metric system, but
I mean,
whatever.
I like it sometimes. It is fun because everybody's kind of like, what the fuck is miles per hour? But you got to know what a mile is, how hard it is to get there. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, but then we run 10Ks. We run 10Ks. So like, why? Exactly. Why do we venture back into the empirical system? Like what? No consistency.
Kyle, what is consistent? That's Kirkland's signature brands.
And I have to say, Kirkland's signature brands and their partnership with this particular podcast really helps us put on very informative and otherwise unattainable podcast goals, like our upcoming Saving Private Ryan doesn't hold up on the Hold Up
Schindler's
podcast.
List.
Schindler's List right on the other side of that. So we want to take a time and thank Kirkland Signature for being such a staunch supporter of this podcast. And might I add also, Andrew, a firm, staunch supporter of our views and opinions, because whatever views and opinions shared at this juncture are what, Andrew?
They are co-aligned with Kirkland 100% of the way. We are them, they are us. We're one and the same.
One and the same. So we want to thank Kirkland Signature for we want to thank Kirkland Signature for being there for us, and we'll always be there for them as long as they continue to support American-made products.
And I can say too, we're all kind of holed up with Kirkland Signature brands. We're just holed up with them.
We are. Thank you, Kirkland Signature. Thank you,
for the
Kirkland.
Air fryer.
Thank you
for sure.
I want to make note of this as well. Yesterday was Masters Sunday, and the great champion Rory McIlroy had a bag that had the words "TaylorMade" written across the front. Another good partner, another good friend of ours that had primetime viewership yesterday. I don't know. I just feel that iconic logo that we saw on CBS, midday, 6 p.m. on national television, is synonymous with our brand as well. Again, one and the same. We hold. I can't.
I was letting you go, but I was I can
keep on going. I was going to keep on going.
I'm really mad I broke there.
We are so off track. But anyway, thank you, Kirkland. Thank you, TaylorMade. Thank you for the Masters. Whatever else.
Coming up next week. Thank you, DeWalt. Premium home improvement products.
You know what? Fuck it. Thank you, H&K Firearms, for what you produce for us. Like, thank you for that.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, moving on. So, shut up, Chase.
So they end up on the Empire State Building in this giant peach, and the entire city is starting to stare up at them, right, Kyle?
Yeah, and they're wondering why giant fruit is shitting on them from the sky in large quantities. And they look up to the sky, and at first it falls on just some innocuous bystander, and then it falls on a police officer, and he looks up in the sky, and he's just floored with what he sees. This is more of a soundstage. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's another well-known actor, Mike Starr, who was in Dumb and Dumber. He was in The Office. He was Frenchie in Goodfellas. Like, it's a guy that I noticed right away. I was like, wait, I know this dude. He plays the same character in pretty much everything.
He plays a dude from New York and everything he's
Yes, and he himself is from Queens and talks like he's from Queens in every single role that he plays. He's good in every single role that he has, but it's the same dude. It's the same fucking dude.
The character actor. I mean, hey, a character actor is still an actor.
Hey, he's very successful. So I'm not here to knock him whatsoever. But yeah, he gets hit with that big old blob of peach juice. And he looks up, he's like, what the hell was that? He doesn't say hell because we didn't watch the director's cut. He calls for the largest crane in the world. That's what it was.
Which is just on standby, apparently.
Yeah, that's something that you can just casually have deployed at any moment. But yeah, he has this crane bring down the peach from a 1,250 foot building. That's a very tall crane, by the way. Brings it down, and there's this giant peach with a kid on top. And Chase, take us to the end here. What's the final few minutes of this movie?
It's a little bit chaotic, but so he ends up talking to James, and a lot of dialogue here, but James is telling him he came to New York, he doesn't have anybody, and blah, 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 all that. And then his aunts show up in the crushed car that was apparently at the bottom of the peach. Am I correct in that?
See, the way that I took it, Chase, was that shark, that mechanical shark that appeared towards the beginning of the movie, that was them. in like this reality fiction world. That's how I took it. I could be completely wrong there, but it was very wet, as if they had driven it through the ocean or something.
Yeah, it was really wet.
Yeah, and like they moved the Peach, and the car's at the bottom of the Peach, so it was like, to me, it was like the Peach rolled over the car and just rolled into the ocean, and they were just at the bottom of the car, because when they get out of the doors, water goes everywhere, and they look like they've just been submerged for days, which is very whimsical, because obviously they would be dead. They should have been dead with the crushed car, much less being in the ocean with no... we're not going to get into that. But anyway, they're wet and spitting up water and pulling, like, seaweed out of their faces. And they're like, this is our Peach, and that's James. James is ours. And James is like, I don't want to go back with them. They're mean. They're physically abusive. They're emotionally abusive. And so they kind of have this back and forth. And the two sisters show... First, they show James's like adoption papers or something, and then they show a photo of them with the Peach to confirm that James is theirs and so is the Peach. And then, Andrew, lead us to our grand climax here.
Well, at this point, there's a huge crowd surrounding this Peach, obviously, with the beat cop leading the way along with the ants. But then some magical voice towards the top says, let the boy speak. And it's the narrator. It's Pete Postlethwaite. You don't really see him because he's kind of like a shadowy outline of him.
I saw everything. He had his like safari hat on and a trank gun. He was going to go kill a T-Rex. I think that this is a prequel, by the way, to
you're right.
Lost World.
You're right.
I think it came out at the same year.
Wasn't a couple years before? Was it Lost World 98?
I can't remember.
Whatever. But that was his character, sure. And at this point, everyone shuts up and they let James speak. And he talks about how he rode across the Atlantic with a bunch of seagulls leading the way with his insect friends who are a glowworm, a spider, an earthworm, a ladybug, a grasshopper, so on and so forth, and a centipede, of course. And at this point, the ants are like, listen to him. He's a pathological liar. Blah, 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 blah. He has a condition. And they try to turn it on him because clearly that story's not going to fly. But then, all of a sudden, what comes down from the sky, but it's his friends, his insects, and really shows that James wasn't lying.
He's telling the truth. The boy's telling the truth.
And all that stuff about his bitch ants abusing him and feeding, withholding food from him, it's all true. And so our beat cop, Matt Stone, was like, he's telling the truth, like you just said, Chase. And he's like, get those goons out of here. And I think at this point, the spider has completely wrapped him up in like a cocoon, and they're attached to the crane, and they send him off. I don't know where they go, but
well, they didn't even commit. They didn't commit a crime. You just have to. I don't know what they. Did they dump him into the fucking Hudson at that point? I don't know.
I hope they just killed them. Capital punishment.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hope they found them.
Well, they were wrapped up so tight that they are definitely suffocating on the way to wherever they're going.
Good. I want those witches to suffer. I want them to.
I
wanted to meet the worst stats they possibly can. But go on. Sorry. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say I hated this ending so much, guys. I can't mince words here. I feel like the battle with the rhino could have ended this, and maybe do a metaphor with his ants in the rhino, or something. I don't know.
His parents were found or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
they actually weren't dead.
This is literally it too, everybody. It just kind of ends here with James.
Yeah. Yep.
They say that James and his friends moved into Central Park, and James tells his story to all the other kids as they come through. So now he has friends, and he lives in the peach pit.
Central Park, the peach pit. There you go, because they ate all of the peach at that point. So
they're just living in the peach pit. When does the centipede become a boxer? The grasshopper becomes a violinist. They all do their own thing.
The spider opens a nightclub. Yeah, they find success in New York City as one big happy family, and
it sucks. It's a shitty ending, honestly.
That's the children's book aspect of it, I guess. If Roald Dahl were alive, we could tell him that, hey, you've mailed this one in, buddy. The fuck were you thinking?
Yeah, a lot of people out there too are probably asking, now that we've kind of made our way through it, this movie is very faithful to the book. I haven't read the book, so I can't confirm, but this is almost a 1-to-1. So this is how the book would end, and it feels like it just ends kind of abruptly with nothing happening. Like there was no fun resolution, in my opinion. But I do get what you're saying, Andrew. This is kind of the child's book version. This is what would happen in the book, and it probably sounds better when you're reading that through a book than it does in the movie version. I wish that they'd taken some more liberties there, because they could have, especially with the stop motion, they could have come up with something really good. I don't mind he lives in the peach pit in Central Park. I don't mind that part of it, but the whole like confrontation with the ants and just having a guy come in and go, listen to the boy, and then walk away, it just kind of didn't feel like it ever worked.
I think I can see where you're coming from, but he's very much this old man character is very much a Tom Bombadil. Like he's just there he just moves the plot along in a way that's like he's kind of mysterious, mischievous person who influences day-to-day stuff in their world. And I think it's a fun it makes it more whimsical, in my opinion. I'm not talking about it making it cheap. I just think it's more whimsical and fun that way. And it's a children's show. It's like an elf when he's like, well, what do you want us to do, like with the missing pages in the child's book? He's like, I want to take a $20,000 bath because some kid can't figure out what happened to some freaking pigeon. And it's like kind of similar vibes here of like, well, let's not try to expound too much, we're good. But at the same time, I think it's also the way it ends is whimsical as well, in a way that like it made me feel better that he had like a family, even though it wasn't his mom and dad, but it was still something. And he didn't have to he's in a better situation. But it isn't something grand in Disney. Like it is missed opportunities there.
I felt it was a little flat. I'm with Chase. I thought it was a little flat and just ended.
For an adult, I'll say for an adult, it wasn't. For a kid, it's kind of like, well, okay, well, what happens now?
As an adult, I just wanted the guy to make a better speech. Like it didn't have to be longer or that much longer. It just more of a whimsical speech to get people's attention in New York, because of the way that he talked to James earlier in the film. I thought he was going to be more like captivating, but just being like, listen to the boy is like not captivating enough for me, especially to get the attention of an adult. You have to be even more whimsical or more like flamboyant. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're minor nitpicks at this point, but Andrew, you read the book. Let's start with you. How do you feel about James and the Giant Peach as an adult?
Like I said earlier, it's hard for me to really decipher what was more of an influence, the book or the movie. And as we've gotten through this movie, this recap, I really think the movie had more of an effect on me than the book did. Now that I recall, I think I read the book after the movie, and I remember it being very similar. I think there wasn't much lost in the film adaptation. I don't know. I remember this movie being a little heavier, a little darker, and it was, but it wasn't as dark and as scary as I remember as a kid. I very much enjoyed the visuals of it. And that's another thing. Like, I remember the visuals of this movie more so than I do turning any page in the book. The visuals, the cover, the illustration, the poster of the movie, that book we got at the Scholastic Fair, the claymation look, like that has stuck with me forever because it's such an iconic way to go about your animation, and they nailed it in this. Visually stunning and ahead of its time, really, at that point. But I don't know. We've watched other kid movies where I have gotten more out of it, when this one was just a little flat altogether from start to finish. I didn't really love the song and dance numbers. There wasn't much to the plot. It didn't really rile up a bunch of nostalgia for me. It didn't hit the way I wanted it to. So I don't know. I feel like it hit better as a kid than as this adult rewatch. But that's just me. Kyle, what do you think?
I thought this one, like, I hadn't seen this since I was a child. So it brought up a lot of like memories and feelings and like just smells. That's already going to win it some extra points. But I think the depth of the actors in these the depth of these characters with the actors was very it was very much a pull for me, and it still is. They embodied their characters, their animated characters so well, and brought me into their world when we were in the animated world, that it made up for a lot of other stuff. And I don't disagree. I just don't think it detracts from the story for me that much for it to be a huge problem, especially when we're getting near the end and how quickly it gets wrapped up. I will agree with it's just all at once. We figure it all out and put a button on it. But at the same time, it does work. And as a kid, it was like it was just buttoned up well enough that I never questioned it. As an adult, of course, I'm going to question that kind of stuff. But I think it's just outweighed by the visuals that tell the story versus how the story is told. For me, that is going to give it a little bit more juice. So I think because of the aesthetics and how it's visually made, visually speaking, it's gonna hold a little bit more weight for me. So I don't disagree, but I think other areas for me make it a little bit more potent.
Fair. But I agree too with you, Kyle, because one of the biggest things in filmmaking is how can you tell your story visually without dialogue? And they do that very well in this movie. But I do think that this movie, I don't know if it's flat or inconsistent. I can't figure it out for myself. I think you can say certain parts of it come off as flat, to Andrew's point, but I think some of it is inconsistent. But this is one of those movies that's made for kids too. I know we do this on this show where we like dive into the nostalgia. There was some nostalgia for me at the beginning because I remember that first 20 minutes vividly. And then after that, my brain just could not put it all together. Visually, though, like, this is almost a lost art form at this point. You don't see beautiful movies like this with set pieces and practical effects and hand-drawn animation with stop motion on top of that and sound staging, all this other stuff. It's gone to the wayside now. I'd rather watch this 45 billion times over than go and watch the new piece of shit Marvel movie where they go and film in a room full of green screens and everyone pretends to act. Like, this is just this
Whoa, Chase, do you not like Marvel movies? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, go back to season 1, everybody. There's something about art, and there's something about making art that comes out in this movie, and that's hard for me to stray away from. And as a movie itself, it's very mid, but I think it's one of those that's just like the art style is the point. That like this is a children's book. And it was written in the 50s. I can't even remember, but
61.
It's 61. So yeah. It's that old. So they kind of just took the source material and then they just made the grand world out of it, and you're just supposed to enjoy being in that world. And then when you leave, you leave. But Andrew, does it hold up?
That's tough because I agree with you on the visual aspect, the animation, the artistry that went into creating that claymation stop motion. Like, that's not anything to scoff at. It's a beautiful film. That animation creation really takes you into the world around you. I don't know. There were so many times I just felt like I was just kind of spaced out in this movie. Like, I wasn't into it. It didn't really grab me, like, especially during the song and dance numbers. I was like, I don't have any desire to listen to this. We've watched a number of kid movies, of course, and I've made many exceptions to ones that we have watched. I'm like, yeah, it holds up. Yeah, I can get into it. I think despite the beautiful animation, I don't think it holds up for me. The story itself is just kind of, it's a children's book. I'm not saying that Roald Dahl wasn't a great author and couldn't create a story. Obviously, he could. This one just doesn't really do it for me. And I think it's a little disappointing that the animation is so good that the story doesn't back it up in full. I don't know. It's a work that should be praised for everything that they put into the animation. But again, the story just falls a little flat for me. And I don't know. I think into the future, like, I would hope that our children are still going to read some Roald Dahl classics, but I don't know. Is that going to happen? Is that going to be a thing in 30 years, 20 years, whatever? I mean, our children will be here sooner than that. Kyle, obviously you already have one, but I don't know. I don't know. It's missing something. And I can't say it fully holds up for me.
Fair. Kyle, what about you? Does it hold up?
Yes, it does. But I don't want anybody to think that I disagree with Andrew and Chase on some of these story points, because I do agree. I think if it was told a different way, it would have been a little bit better. But I can't get over how good the stop motion is for today, let alone back then. I think it's crisp, clear storytelling. The amount of work that goes into doing stop motion like that, and then superimposing that over into live action, is just so cool. And like, it makes you scratch your head as an adult. Like, how did I do that? Like, very technical storytelling. It is a shame. Agreed. It is a shame that the story didn't really fully back it up, especially near the end, where it could have expounded and maybe taken some more liberties. But at the end of the day, it looks really good, and it still was poignant enough. And even the live action was well done, and it was shot in the soundstage, but it's still, like Chase said, if you put it on mute and you just watch it the whole time, you'd know exactly what was going on the whole time. You might have a question here or there about what they might be getting into in the moment, but the actions will speak for themselves. And that's a really good point, and I think it's one of the reasons why this does hold up for me. I thought it would be better than what it was. I will say, to agree with Andrew, but I think we're coming on different wavelengths, so I'm not going to challenge your decision, Andrew. But I will say it is definitely left a little bit to be desired as an adult, but it holds up.
It's weird because I agree with both of you, but I'm going to lean towards this. I'm going to say, and I think I already tipped my cap to this, but I'm going to say it holds up because of the fact of stop motion and preserving this type of animation for future generations. And I know that's not what we get into with this show a lot, because that would be kind of more of the nostalgic trip towards that. So it's like hyperbolic, but it's just hard not to say, if I had a child, I would probably put this over 90% of the films that have come out in the last 20 years, just so that my child can see that art form. So that's why I say hold up. I agree with you, Andrew. I think it is flat storytelling. I think the beginning part with the ants and our Jurassic Park Lost World guy, I think all that was fun and that worked. But once you get into the peach and once the stop motion kind of wears off on you a little bit, the story you're just kind of at the end, you're just like, come on, get me to the end here. No one dies in it.
The stakes aren't really
there. They're not. Yeah. There's no loss of life. There's no loss. You're just kind of going to New York, and
it's not the same as The Great Mouse Detective. I think that one was far more bland, but it was the same kind of feeling in some aspects. I don't know. That's just me personally. And I think I said The Great Mouse Detective held up, but I don't know. There's just something missing. And yeah, it's also not one that I would ever just go watch again. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. Whoa. I know that it's a great animation, but I don't, why? Unless I'm sitting down with my then child, I'm not going to watch it. So,
well, what would you give it, like, as far as an IMDb rating? That's another key question there.
Yeah, probably. I want to give it right. I don't like doing whole numbers, but I'd probably give it I said I gotta say 6, but I think I'll just go 5.9.
Okay, Kyle, what would you give it?
I would give it a 6.7.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 6.1. So just for the stop motion alone, if this movie was live action or just normal animation, I'd probably give it like a 4.8.
4. Yeah.
So I think that's a big increase for it. Andrew, what is the actual IMDb score?
It is exactly what Kyle gave it, 6.7.
Nice, Kyle. Wow, you're done.
Yeah.
You're retired from the show now.
Does anybody want to tell me something right now? Like, I'm really, really good?
You have...
Want to say that?
You have a beautiful body.
Andrew, listen to this.
I hear it. Is that you with your finger in your mouth?
No, it's not. It's actually a plastic object.
Oh, you're pulling it in and out of your butthole.
Yes, good job.
Well, anyway, the one sound you can't mistake is, you know what we do around here. We reach inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out. Today, we pulled out James and the Giant Peach. Found out the peach isn't quite rotten yet, so you can go get some more nectar from that delicious fruit. Check that movie out if for the stop motion alone. Kyle, what are we doing next week?
Well, we're going from the UK. We're going back to America for Bible Goes West, which has more to do with the famed movie Schindler's List than you would think.
No, that's right. We're going back to Don Bluth because how could we not? We're wrapping up animation season. We've only got 2 more episodes left to go, but next week we will catch you all for an American Tale.
She is an American tale. All right, goodbye.